Then on the evening of the first match, ESPN Cricket Info's principal presenter, Ronak Kapoor, takes me aside, and I remember exactly what he said to me verbatim. He said, "The stars may have aligned for you because we think you'd be a good fit to do the Social Corner segment, but let's just do a quick audition." What's up, my boys and girls? In one of my very recent videos, I talked about my decision to quit investment banking for wanting to become a sports presenter. In today's video, I'll talk extensively about how I ended up making that seemingly impossible pivot from investment banking at Goldman Sachs in New York City headquarters to becoming an ICC Cricket World Cup 2019 presenter with ESPN. Before I kick things off, let me just clarify that the point of this video is not to blow my own trumpet or in Urban Dictionary parlance to suck my own dick, but to highlight the fact that anyone can go about making a very drastic career shift, even if that person doesn't quite meet the eligibility criteria or doesn't quite have the required work experience or the required qualifications for the career that that person is trying to get into. I know that this is anecdotal evidence, but just take a look at my example. I've made very conscious and successful pivots, first from engineering to finance and then from finance to sports media. So clearly, I must be doing something right. Some of you might already know that I got back to India in July of 2018 after having spent 7 years in America, 4.5 years studying and then 2.5 years working after having graduated college. During the initial few weeks after getting back, I honestly just sat back and relaxed and spent quality time with myself and with my family. But after about a month or so of relaxing, time spent just chilling became time spent jerking off all day long. And the harsh reality of life is that jerking off doesn't quite pay the bills, because if it did, I'd be the richest fucking man in the world. So slowly but surely, I started applying to lots of these sports media companies, but heard absolutely fuck all from the companies that I applied to. I'm guessing most of the people that I reached out to must have been like, this guy went from engineering to finance and now wants to break into sports media. What the fuck is he tripping on? What's he been smoking? And when I didn't hear back from anyone, despite my best efforts, I honestly started panicking a bit, because all of a sudden, I started questioning the feasibility of this very rosy picture that I'd painted in my head of being able to very smoothly transition from investment banking to the sports media field. Plus, I started feeling a bit monetarily insecure as well, not because I didn't have anything saved up. I had money saved up, but when you become so used to this bi-weekly paycheck or a monthly paycheck hitting your bank account, and all of a sudden someone just like fucking cuts off the supply or turns off the pipe, you start feeling a void. And I started experiencing the withdrawal symptoms of that monthly paycheck that I was so used to. You know, as Nassim Nicholas Taleb says, the two most dangerous things in the world are heroin and a monthly paycheck, given how addictive both are. So then I started thinking of backup plans, and plan B was to apply to investment banking jobs in India, which made my mom really happy, because she's under the impression that a girl would rather marry someone with the title of investment banker than someone with the title of sports presenter, which reminds me that I'm single, by the way. So the 3 or 4 girls who might be watching this video, please show me some love in the comment section. I bet the only girls who will end up showing me some love in the comments will be my sisters. Anyway, very quickly, I was able to rack up 3 offers. 2 of them were pure investment banking offers, and 1 of them was a corporate finance offer. All 3 of them in Mumbai, aka poor man's New York City. And while it could have been very easy for me to have accepted one of those offers, and I know this sounds cheesy as fuck, but there was just a voice inside me which said, "Anubhav, please do not give up so prematurely. Please continue with the quest to break into sports media." So I decided to listen to that very cheesy voice inside of me and continued my quest, but still experienced no luck. It was now November, 4 months after having gotten back to India, and I had done absolutely fuck all apart from a little bit of freelance writing work for a sports website called Sportskeeda. So these were desperate times. And you know, as they say, desperate times call for desperate measures. So I started applying anywhere and everywhere. I interviewed for a fintech startup based in New Delhi in mid-November, got an offer from them in late November, which I promptly accepted, not because I felt a strong sense of attraction for the role, but because I was desperate. And when you're desperate, you start rationalizing the irrational. The rational part of the mind will tell you that, Anubhav, you have absolutely no interest in anything that this company does or in fintech in general. But the irrational part of the mind will tell you, oh, you know what, fintech is a trending space. It's a sexy space, so you better hop on the fintech bandwagon. Plus, Delhi girls are hot as fuck, at least much better than Calcutta girls. And these girls will keep you warm during the cold Delhi winters. In a nutshell, I just convinced and fooled myself into believing that this role was tailor-made for me when it clearly wasn't. I was scheduled to start at this fintech company on the 17th of December. First week of December, I was at a gym in Calcutta, and I ended up bumping into this one dude in the gym locker room who was wearing a Sunrisers Hyderabad jersey. And I struck up a conversation with him about cricket, because that's what sports does to me. It makes me chat up scantily clad dudes in gym locker rooms, despite my sexual orientation being as straight as a fucking arrow. So we hit it off, and he was very impressed by how much I knew about cricket as well as by my conversational skills. He asked me what I did, and I told him that I was up to absolutely fuck all, but that these were my aspirations. He then told me that he would introduce me to former India cricketer Deep Dasgupta and suggested that I speak with Deep to try and figure out how exactly I should break into the sports media field. I promptly set up a meeting with Deep, met with him in person, and Deep suggested that I reach out to the principal presenter at ESPN Cricinfo, taking Deep's name. So I reached out to the principal presenter, sent him an email on the 4th of December, did not hear back, sent him a follow-up email on the 9th of December, still did not hear back. The ideal situation would have been landing some sort of gig with ESPN Cricinfo and then reneging on the fintech offer, but unfortunately that didn't materialize, and so I moved to Delhi to start this fintech role. The honeymoon period, when everything about your new job feels great and everyone at the company treats you like a fucking king because you're a new employee, and you post cheesy shit on LinkedIn like, so honored to be working at company XYZ. So that lasted for about a month or so, after which I was more miserable than I was during those 5 months being unemployed in Calcutta. I swear the only reason that made me want to continue with that job was this girl that I was dating, and truth be told, the biggest reason that I was attracted to her was the fact that her initials were VK, same as the initials of my favorite cricketer on whom I have a man crush. I'm such a dick. But that relationship never really took off. It used to take 1 step forward, 2 steps back, much like this VK's recent form in the IPL. So in mid-April of 2019, once VK stopped being a strong enough reason to want to stick with my job, I decided that it's only a matter of time before I hand in my resignation. I did not have any other job lined up, but I just wanted to get myself out of the fucking misery and hell that I was experiencing at that fintech startup. Around the same time, I started applying to a lot of these postgraduate journalism programs to colleges in India, since all my other attempts to break into sports media companies had failed spectacularly. May of 2019 was a really fucking frantic month because a lot of shit happened. May 3rd is when I handed in my notice. The very next day, May 4th, is when I decided to celebrate my independence by going to watch a Delhi versus Rajasthan IPL match at the Firozshah Kotla and do a little bit of bakchodi by interviewing fans before the match. 8th of May is when I sent the ESPN presenter another follow-up, this time even including links to a few of my work samples, one of them being the link to the bakchodi that I did before the Delhi Rajasthan IPL match that I was talking about. 13th of May was my last day at the startup. 14th of May is when I flew to Chennai for a final round interview with the Asian College of Journalism, which was my first choice amongst the 3 colleges that I'd applied to. And 20th of May is when I received an acceptance letter from ACJ. And how about this for serendipitous timing? On the 21st of May, one day after getting accepted by ACJ, out of the blue, ESPN Cricinfo's principal presenter reaches out to me asking me what I was looking for. I mentioned to him that I'd been accepted into journalism school but would prefer WorkX instead. I shared my work samples with him again, which he seemed to like, and then proceeded to ask me if I'd be open to intern with ESPN Cricinfo for the duration of the World Cup. He also mentioned that it obviously won't be an on-camera role, which, as you might already know, did not turn out to be true, and I'll explain all the drama that transpired once I began the role. So he interviewed me on the 22nd of May. Honestly, it was more like a casual conversation and not an interview. He liked what I had to say and asked me to come to Mumbai as soon as possible. I flew from Delhi to Mumbai on the 23rd evening, crashed at my dad's friend's place, and then reported to the Cricinfo studio on the 24th morning. On my first day, he gave me a tour of the studio and asked me if I'd be keen on being part of a dry run. A dry run is basically a dress rehearsal for the actual live show, and it was meant to test the audio and video equipment, the camera angles, etc., etc. And the plan was to do these dry runs every single day leading up to the start of the World Cup on the 30th of May. So there I was on my very first day pretending to be an expert. They must have liked what they saw because I became a regular fixture on this fake expert panel. Dry runs in which they needed only one pseudo expert. They picked me over some of the other employees who had similar aspirations to be a presenter. These dry runs were actually meant to be all fun and games, but I actually took them very seriously, and I'm not afraid to admit the fact that I used to spend a fair bit of time every morning before getting to the office doing research just so that I could contribute meaningfully to them, not least because I knew that come the start of the World Cup, in just a few days' time, fake experts like me will be replaced by real experts in the form of former cricketers like Murli Kartik, Michael Hussey, Daniel Vittori, Darren Ganga, and Ajit Agarkar. Come the start of the World Cup on the 30th of May, the dry runs made way for the actual thing, which also marked the end of my on-camera fairy tale, albeit in simulation form. I know it was short-lived, but I enjoyed every fucking minute of it. During every single World Cup pre-match live show, there was a very lighthearted segment called the Social Corner that covered everything funny or controversial that was trending in the world of social media related to that day's matchup. The Social Corner segment for the first match of the World Cup between England and South Africa was done by Nikhil Nas, who's a very experienced presenter, worked at NDTV as well for many years. Then on the evening of the first match, ESPN Cricinfo's principal presenter, Ronak Kapoor, takes me aside, and I remember exactly what he said to me verbatim. He said, "The stars may have aligned for you because we think you'd be a good fit to do the Social Corner segment, but let's just do a quick audition." I'm 100% certain that the audition was just a formality because I absolutely fucking bombed it, but still ended up getting the role. I might be totally wrong here, but my guess is that the reason they decided to hand over the Social Corner reins to me is that given the very light-hearted and tongue-in-cheek nature of the Social Corner segment, they just felt that a younger personality would be more appropriate for it. But regardless of what the reason may have been, I was absolutely ecstatic, and I went on to present on live TV during during every single World Cup pre-match show except the first one, of course. Hand on heart, it ended up being one of the best fucking experiences of my life. Nerve-wracking as hell, especially during the initial few days when I was still finding my bearings, but immensely rewarding as well. Look, I don't want to sound overly dramatic because that's not my style, but who knows, one day in the future, I might look back at my ESPN Cricinfo internship as having been the turning point of my life. In conclusion, I'll say that we put so much emphasis on getting all these degrees and certifications and qualifications and whatnot, especially in India, but I truly believe that skills without degrees trump degrees without skills. So focus on developing an enviable skill set depending upon whatever it is that you want to get into, and then watch the magic unfold. I'll tell you how this very virtuous cycle works. You work extremely hard on developing a very enviable skill set. That then gives you the confidence and the self-belief that you're good enough, which in turn gives you the balls to take calculated risks in your career as well as your personal life. Of course, grit and perseverance and being rock solid in the face of rejection, all of those are essential. But for lack of a better cliche, I'll say that if it's truly something you want, you'll do whatever it takes. As the great philosopher Nietzsche once said, he who has a why can bear almost any how. Hope you enjoyed learning about my roller coaster as much as I enjoyed being a part of it. Let me know in the comment section what your aspirations are. Goes without saying, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Until next time, stay safe, take care, keep smashing it, and cheers.